Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Hepner. Good afternoon, boa tarde. I am a former design magazine editor here in the United States and currently working as a writer and self-presentation consultant for firms in architecture, interiors, and other design-related fields. I am delighted to be here today on behalf of Projeto Raiz, or the Raiz Project. That name is spelled R-A-I-Z after the Portuguese word for root, which is particularly appropriate because the group represents more than 80 different Brazilian furniture designers who have a whole multitude of roots influenced by the many diverse cultures that are blended together to make Brazil such a unique and vibrant country. The Raiz Project has been organized by Sindmoves Bento Gonçalves in partnership with Apex Brazil, which is the agency that promotes Brazilian trade and investment. I'd like to thank those two organizations for their sponsorship today. And special thanks also to Patricia Buarque and Luana Barbara of Compor Comunicação and Andrew Joseph of Andrew Joseph PR for curating this website session. Now, as everyone in our audience today will know, a handful of Brazilian designers and architects and artists have gotten a lot of worldwide attention, especially in recent years. People such as the Campana brothers, Fernando and Humberto, the architect Lina Bobardi, and artist and photographer Vic Muniz, for example. But the world of design in Brazil is much, much more larger and more varied than that, as our panelists today will make clear. This webinar is the virtual launch of a new English language catalog from the Raiz Project. The launch was originally scheduled to happen last spring during Milan's Design Week, but then, of course, the coronavirus changed everybody's plans. So we're delighted to be able to roll it out now for all of you. All right, sorry for all of the screen sharing here. One primary goal of the Raiz Project is to build relations with international markets and expand the worldwide representation of Brazilian designers, especially in the United States and Europe. So I'd like all of our listeners today to know that you can download a PDF copy of this new catalog yourself from raizproject.com. That's RAIZPROJECT.com. In addition to fascinating sections on the history of the Brazilian furniture trade in general and the development of the Mobile Sul Brasil Furniture Fair and 3 decades of the Salon Design Award, the catalog also, and most important of all, outlines the very broad and diverse group of designers and firms represented in Projeto Raiz, 4 of whom we will be talking with right now. Before we start, I would like also to thank our panelists today for accommodating us by speaking in English. And I will apologize in advance for my own complete lack of Portuguese and for all the Brazilian names of people and places whose pronunciation I will undoubtedly mangle this afternoon. For those of you in the audience who have questions, feel free to use the chat function down at the bottom of your Zoom window to submit questions, and some of them will be answered in chat, and some of them I will be able to present to our panelists as we speak. And so now it is my great pleasure to introduce the 4 gifted professionals who are joining us today, after which I will ask each of them to give us a quick overview of their own companies and their own work. So first, Flavio Borsato, who with his partner Mauricio Lamosa runs Estudio Bola. Flavio, if you don't mind giving a little wave so everybody knows who you are.
Can I?
And I'll introduce everyone and then I'll come back to you and we'll talk. So both Flavio and Mauricio are originally from São Paulo. but I know Flavio at least is now living and working in Italy in the city of Treviso. Are you both based in Italy now, Flavio?
No, just me.
Just you. Okay, so a long distance partnership.
Okay.
Next, we have Camila Fix, who is here representing Plataforma Quattro, a collection of 4 women designers who started independently, but have more recently banded together to create a new collaborative firm. We have Gustavo Martini, a designer originally from Rio de Janeiro and now working in Milan in Italy. And finally, Sergio Matos, who is originally from the state of Mato Grosso, but who is now dividing his time between his studio based in northeastern Brazil in Campina Grande and his places in São Paulo. So Flavio, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your company?
Okay, let me try to do that. Okay, at first I'd like to say that I'm sorry about my English, but it's a long time that I don't make practice, and to be a little bit more confident, I have to read my answers. Okay. Secondly, I would like to thank Raiz Project and Cinemovies to all support of this, and congratulations for this amazing project of this book. Thank you very much for this project. Let's start. Studio Bola is my company with Mauricio, my partner, and it's a brand of furniture design. And I'm talking about a really a great range of products. We do a lot of things like sofas, chairs, lamps, tables, ceramics, and others. And we are proud to say how mature is our brand in our country, Brazil. Me, Mauricio, my partner, and our team, we put our design in our studio in São Paulo and Italy as well. Now we're starting to produce it. We are producing our products in several factories spread in now of Brazil. We are talking south of Brazil, in middle of Brazil, Minas Gerais, and most part are made in São Paulo, where we are situated. And recently we started to production in Italy as well, Padova and Bergamo. They are near from where I'm living now. At this moment, we are selling directly to Europe and USA, and soon we are open a showroom in Italy, Treviso. It's near from Venezia. It's a really good place to live and to drink Prosecco as well. I hope to open this store next year, and if everything is going well. We have more than 150 products drawn by us. One flag shop in São Paulo with around 700 square meters, 2 franchising stores, and more than 50 multi-brand stores around Brazil. Since 2008, we start to license our drawings to great brands like CB2 in the United States, who delivered our design to the world. Our movement in overseas, it's like a mirror of our work in Brazil. Would be a pleasure to do everything again, to start again, to do what we have done 15 years ago in São Paulo. If you do that, we will be very good to me. We have a pleasure to start again, to be a young again.
Great.
It's really gratifying to be part of this project, especially to who believes in design and breathe design all the time, like us, all of us, I think. have our design recognized for this project, making us proud and confident that we are in the right way. Thank you all and congratulations for this project.
Great. Thank you very much, Flavio. Next, maybe Camila, if you want to tell us, unmute yourself and then tell us a little bit about Plataforma 4. Camila, your sound is not on.
Okay.
There we are.
Okay, thank you. So I'm a product designer. I've been working for almost 20 years now. And for the last 5 years, we decided to make Plataforma 4, which is a collective brand, a collective of 4 designers. We are all women, all architects, and we decided with independent careers, and we decided to work together. Since we launched our brand, we've been working with several different companies in the south of Brazil, in São Paulo, in Minas Gerais, also in the northeast of Brazil. And with some of these companies, we have a really close partnership where we can do, sometimes we just make the projects, like this one that we are seeing is for Líder, that is a brand from Minas Gerais, and is a company where we design several products, and this line is nowadays in US. So we went with Raiz project to ICFF like 2 years ago, and there we had the opportunity to show a complete line of products from this brand, and now this is available in the US market. But we also work with smaller brands in Brazil where we have the opportunity to make the complete design project, where we started thinking with the company about their identity and how they want to show themselves in the market. And we also make the complete product line for this brands. So for us, it's really it's really important to, we understood the potentiality of the collective work, and we understood that as we were together, we could offer a much more professional and interesting projects for our clients. So it was really meaningful for all of us to start this collective project. We are also very happy with this, to belong to Raiz project. We are in Raiz project since the beginning. So we already went with Raiz project to Europe, to Italy, to the Milan, to events parallel to the Milan Fair several times, but we also participated in some exhibitions across Europe in many different cities, and also in more commercial actions like ICFS in US. So thank you very much, and I hope I could give you an overview of our work.
Absolutely. Thank you, Camila. Now, maybe Gustavo, if you would like to talk a little bit about your work.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Gustavo Martini. I was born in Rio, but I live in Milan since there are like 6 years, a bit more. My idea was, in the beginning, I used to have my studio back there in Brazil, and I was starting working on my ideas in the way that, in general, I start by thinking about the way I see the world, also about how people relate with the others and also with the space around them. And at the same time, I was like working in Brazil in my own studio. I thought that I could try, give a try for a scholarship here in Milan, because I think everybody knows that Milan is like, it's known as the capital of design because of the Salone del Mobile and etc. And my idea was that, like, to come here in Milan, try to learn as much as I can, and then come back to Brazil and then try to apply all the things that I learned. But then right after my graduation, I had some good opportunities to create some collaborations with galleries, also with Giulio Capellini, which is very well known here in Italy, by like picking young designers. And I was like doing a lot of collaborations. At a certain point, I realized that the idea of coming back to Rio needed to have more extra years. And I don't know, I think right now it's so easy to see myself like living almost like forever and try and getting older here, because I got that used to live in a city that lives, breathes, and only speaks about design, that for me it's becoming also tough. Like the idea that I'm leaving Brazil, not gonna stay there in Brazil anymore, but I'm trying to deal with this. But at the same time, I'm so glad about the idea of coming here, because I had the opportunity to live in the city that the Salon del Mobile happens. So I think even the city changed a lot. Everything changed during the Salon del Mobile. And also the Salon del Mobile, the Salon de Satellite, that I think also Sergio will speak in the future, was a big opportunity for me, because I was just a kid, like coming from an airplane in a very international scene, and I was not expecting that much. I just wanted to like see people from different world, different part of the world, which is what Raiz is doing. Like they are connecting all the Brazilian designers to all over the world. Like we had done exhibitions in United States, in UK, Stockholm, so many different places. And I think this is the most rich thing that a designer can have, is to exchange this and somehow to exchange the point of view as well, because maybe the way we think is not the same way someone from another country will think or perceive the things. And one of the great surprises, I don't have here in this picture, but doesn't matter, is that during the first Salon del Mobile that I did, I was picked as the young, I forgot the name, next generation designer of the year by Wallpaper, which is a very famous magazine known for design. And from that, I think the things changed and became a bit easier, like more fluid. And even the fact that I'm Brazilian living abroad is also a very interesting experience. I don't know. I think I'm gonna stop here. Otherwise, I'm gonna stay here speaking about things that doesn't matter.
That's a good start, I think. Thank you,
Okay.
Gustavo. And finally, but not least, how about Sergio? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your design and your company?
Okay. Hello, everybody. My work is my studio is in Northeast Brazil, and when I think I have a one special culture, in that culture influence my work. You know, like popular parties and artisan community. That's make me influencer my work. I put that concept in my furniture. You know, my studio has different three different works. We have my studio. I produce with a artisan community in Northeast. I have I have one other work. I make products for different communities in North Brazil, like indigenous community in Amazon. And I draw too for different companies in Brazil. That is the three different work we have. But our works is the inspiration is Brazilian culture, is different materials. No, we use to like natural material in North Brazil, Northeast. We have a different materials too, and that's I think is the identity, my work. So.
Great.
And for the internationalization, we have the support the Raiz project that make visibility my furniture in other countries like USA, in Europe. In Europe, we have support one gallery is Paola Colombari, and USA we have a new showroom. We opened 2 months ago in the Hamptons, near to New York. And when you have partner for the business in the USA, you know. But that's I think the project Raiz helped me a lot for the international business, no?
Right. Good timing for the Hamptons because so many people are stuck there now with
Yes,
the lockdowns. So you have a captive audience, as we say. in the
that's
United
true.
States. Well, thank you all four for the brief introduction. And I know our audience probably has a lot of additional questions coming up. So I think I will get the process started by beginning a conversation with us. Gustavo, you were talking about your own experience being a Brazilian designer working in another country, in Italy, and the exposure to international things. You know, from your perspective, I'm curious, are there things that you would like people in other parts of the world to think or know about Brazilian furniture in general?
I would say that Brazilians, like as you probably know, and by also looking to our portfolios and also the catalog from Raiz, we are very plural. So Brazil is such a big country, like from the north to the south. You can imagine like doing a road trip around Europe, you know. And since we are that plural, I think also our design is like this. You know, we have like people who think from different way. We have people who like drinks from a different culture as well. Even though we know the other culture, it really changes where you were born and how you were born and what you live, and also the folklore from a very specific region. So it definitely makes us very, very complex and interesting at the same time. But I would say that what I recognize about the Brazilian people is that we are extremely creative. Doesn't matter why or how. I think this creativity has somehow as well the way that we are good in improvising, you know, not improvising about speaking, about improvising our life, you know. If the things change it or the river just changed the flow, you just swim in the other direction and then you always have fun. This is something that I find very interesting. I also teach in Maranguani, Instituto Maranguani here in Milan. And every time that I see a Brazilian student is the one which is like smiling, you know, you're seeing all the tips, it's all happy. Even though right now, I don't know what it looks like, but I'm a bit nervous, you know, but I'm still smiling. And I don't know, this is something very natural to us. We're a kind of happy people that try to take always the positive from everything. So there are a lot of substance, I don't know if this is the correct way how to say in English, for us to work. So each one for sure will take something from this amazing land.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great point. And I think your what you said about the country being so large and so diverse also applies to a lot of the materials, which
Yeah.
Sergio mentioned earlier. So actually that generates another question. Camila, actually, you know, looking at the website for Plataforma Quatro, it's clear that the four of you, you know, use a very large range of materials. And so on behalf of Brazilian designers in general, I mean, how connected are people in Brazil with the local materials and the local traditions of craft?
So I would say that most of the designers are always inspired with all this diversity and all this big range of materials and colors. And so this is really a meaningful inspiration for all of us, but depends on each company you work, it's easier or harder to use these natural materials. When you are working more with communities, or for example, we work with a company that is in Northeast, so they're really close to a region that we can find the really specific materials from that area, so it's easier to add this to their production. But there are other companies that have bigger productions, and then it's harder for them sometimes to add this specific materials. So then these materials become only an inspiration for us as a designer. And I think this happens with other designers, that the colors, the textures, all those things, the flowers and trees are inspirations. And sometimes it's more you can see this more clearly in the end products, and sometimes it's just an inspiration from the process, you know. So depends a little bit, and you can see this, for example, much clearly in Sergio's work, because he works a lot with the communities. So he's really there with them for a long period and work. There is a really big process for developing some products, but then normally it's only small series, very specific products.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, Sergio. You know, as Camila just said, you know, obviously you have, and you mentioned earlier that you work with groups of indigenous people on some of your projects. And I've noticed looking at your website, even some of the designs you do are based on like local flowers or local crafts. Do you want to talk a little bit about that aspect of Brazilian design?
Yes, I think I have a look for travel different region in Brazil, because it's like one discover new material, discover new technique. No, in Amazon, for example, we have many different cultures, not just one. For example, we have like a 280 different language in North Brazil, you know, because the indigenous. Imagine the different cultures, different material, different techniques. No, I have a community in North Brazil, for example. We use only natural material, and for paint, for tie, we have natural colors too. They make, you know. That's I use to. I think I use to in my work for making a new product for that community. In the work in the indigenous communities, we need to have many more attention, because I can change the identity that's community, you know, because it's very strong identity. I use that for make the products for them. But the technique, I think, influenced me in another project, for like projects in my studio, you know. The technique is I know I found in that community I use for make my furniture too. But first I will make products for that community, for development that community too.
That's great. Well, I think obviously materials and indigenous traditions are one thing, but another thing that has been going on obviously is that technologies are always changing. And I think, you know, obviously several of our panelists represent very different traditions or very different approaches, even just among the four of you. And so, Camila, I wonder, you know, again, looking at your website, I've noticed that some of your group's designs, you know, seem to reference traditions of, say, weaving or caning or basketry or lace making and things like that. But it doesn't look to me like they're actually produced by hand. And so are you kind of working to combine those hand-making traditions with technological production?
Yes, so what we do normally, we work with different companies, and some of these companies has a lot of technology in their process. So with CNC machines and make the product really with high technology, but then when they make the finishing, it's really handmade. So this is something that I think brings some differentiation for the Brazilian product, that we can have a really good and well-finished product with a lot of handmade work on this. And sometimes, especially in these companies that I mentioned to you, that it's in the north of the country, we can use some art craft workers that can add some techniques of waving and things like that in our products. So we can do something a little bit more elaborated, that's something that would be done by a machine, you know. We try to use this to bring some differentiation to the products.
Ah, nice. That's great. Well, Gustavo, I think on this spectrum that we're talking about of handmade to industrial in a way, maybe because of your interest in modern city life and urban landscapes, I would say your work tends to be very much on the constructed end of things. Do you see yourself that way?
Yes, the thing is, as I said, like the Brazilian designers, they are very plural. This is, I know it's quite clear. But at the same time, it's funny because sometimes people see like my work, and the first impression is that, okay, but this is not Brazilian, you know, it's not a Brazilian style, it's not a Brazilian aesthetic. And then I say, yes, actually it is. Like, take a deeper look. Try to understand what I'm speaking about in this project. Try to read the project. Let me explain you where is the Brazilianness on it. And one of the main things that I always try to find is the contrast, because the contrast is what I think we live in Brazil, is what I used to live in Rio, because it was a kind of metropolis, very big, like much bigger than Milan, with the nature, with the waterfall, with like so many natural things and so many architectural high buildings, like on personal areas. There are some areas from Rio that they don't have trees, you know, on the I don't know how to say, on the streets, you know, and they are so gray, they are so impersonal, they are so awkward at the same time. And in general, I always try to find this kind of contrast, but not always the contrast can be perceived on the aesthetic of the product. I think I work with lines, with this kind of aesthetic, and the kind of shapes that I use, because I'm just mad. It's missing something here in my head, that I prefer things that are very simple and very clear. But in the end, even if we try to see the chair that I have here on the catalog, I don't think you're gonna be able to find it because there are too many images. But that one is a chair made of lines, black lines, and also the textile. It's very simple, could be very rational as well, but at the same time, it's the kind of seat that we sit on the beach. So there is also this contrast, you know, between the aesthetic of it that may look very from metropolis, very rational, very rigid and cold, but at the same time, the way we were supposed to sit there, it's like laying on the beach, you know, very relaxed. So I wanted to bring this, like the way Brazilians in general they are, you know, we don't sit on a sofa very straight like this, you know, you just sit and try to enjoy the moment. So even though the aesthetics sometimes it looks far from it, just think that is my missing part here. And in the end, the product itself, the content, the subject content, the part that is not visible or tangible, I think it's very Brazilian for sure.
Great. Well, Flavio, on the same topic, I think for you, I mean, you and your partner both trained as architects.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I think this relationship to manufacturing and, you know, creating objects has played very much into your design work as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about what kind of your inspirations have been and how you've integrated those into your furniture design?
Okay. At first, actually, I have to say that I was born in a furniture factory. My dad used to have one, and I was born then. It was a place in, how can I say, like at Detroit, to have something similar in the United States. Okay, it's ABC Paulista. It's a place now really a bit decadent, but it was a place very industrial. And since then, I do absolutely the same. I've born in an industrial, and I have a really mind that think just in industrial process. Okay, different than Sergio, then have a lot of other inspirations, like Mato Grosso. It's a place inside of Brazil. I used to have a industrial mind. Okay, it's really about me, about my culture when I were young. And new machines, we have a lot of new machines working now, but the wood never changes. This is different. Even if I learned to work with old machines, now the wood doesn't change. It's all the same. Okay. And now I'm here in Italy, and Italy is where there is a lot of new technologies from about wood. We have a lot of industries that do a good technology to develop it, and it's why I'm here in Italy to develop it. You know that Italians are crazy from machines, cars, motorbikes, bikes, and these kind of things. They are really crazy, and they are even good woodworkers as well. They are really good woodworkers, really good, and they love arts as well. When you put all of these things together, it's made design, and this is the real Italian design, and this is why I'm here to bring this stuff to Brazil and to the world.
Well, and I think you seem to use a lot of leather also in your work.
Yeah, I really love my work. It's just this I do, and I like. All of my life, I've done that. Since I have 6 years old, I used to go to my father's factory and stay there, learning to work with different machines. Just one was not allowed. It was so dangerous. It's a torno. I don't know how to explain in Italy. This one was forbidden for my father because it was really dangerous. Other ones, it was all my days. And on morning time, I used to go to the school, and the afternoon time, I used to go to the factory to learn to use these machines. Now, of course, everything is changed. Now we have a lot of technologies, but the approach with the wood is the same. You have to learn to work the wood, and what I learned with my father.
Huh. Well, that's great, actually. And that reminds me, that makes me think, Gustavo, earlier you were mentioning kind of how in your design you were taking a Brazilian point of view and bringing it to the world. Mm-hmm. But obviously, you and Flavio, are living and working in Italy. So that brings up the question is our currents or our design ideas from other parts of the world coming into Brazil at the same time? So does it go both directions?
It's a good and tough question. So the first thing that I can say is that, of course, we are living in a globalized world. So there are reference that people in Brazil are seeing, that people here in Italy, they are seeing as well. So I would say that right now, everybody's drinking from the other fountain somehow. People are learning from different techniques, different design approach from all over the world, because we have the access to internet, and everything became so easy and so similar at the same time. Yes, I can say that we can get inspired, but in the end, it becomes something very personal. The way people inspire, I would say, for example, like me, I'm not inspired only from one kind of designer or one style of designer. And not even from one kind of aesthetic of design, and not either a specific country. like I drink from all over the world, but at the same time as everybody's doing the same, there is still the fingerprint, you know, something that when you were born in a specific region, there is something cultural that's staying on your mind. So doesn't matter if we became like people, globalized people, in the end, the result will be always very local, I think.
Got it. Yeah, well, I think one thing I've noticed is, I mean, we've talked a lot about the diversity in Brazilian design, but certainly within the Raiz project itself, one thing I do see as kind of a common thread is lots or most of the design looks to me like it is descended from the modernist tradition. And obviously since the 1960s, I think a lot of the world has associated Brazil, you know, with modernism, with like the city of Brasilia and things like that. Do you mostly see yourselves working in a modernist way? And maybe I'll ask this, start with Camila, because I know you represent, you know, 4 people. You're speaking for more than just yourself today. You know,
Yes,
or are there influences in the work from specifically Brazilian history, such as the Portuguese colonial tradition or things like that, that other people may not notice or the people from outside may not realize are there?
Yes, I think that the 60s were really important. Brazil were really international known, mainly from its architecture, but also the furniture was made at that time, was made for this architecture. So they are very linked, and there is something very recognizable from that time. But that at that point, you have a really small group working in design in Brazil. You know, design was something very new at that point, and it was made from with a very small group was doing design at that moment. And I think what happened is that mainly in the last 20 or 25 years, Brazil started to give a great recognition from their own production because after the 60s, I think we started mainly getting inspired from abroad and using a lot of international reference. So we have maybe a period of 20 years where there wasn't much doing, was not many things was done in Brazil at this point, but in the last 20 years, I would say that this has changed. And we have really recognition of our own identity, a valorization of what we have in Brazil, our diversity, our materials, and what the Brazilian designers were doing from this time. So now we see a much larger group working design. I think the design in Brazil has developed a lot. So we still have a strong root in the materials, and all the sophistication of the diversity of these materials that we have in Brazil, and you can see this in other countries. So I think this is a kind of differentiations, and also this handcraft techniques and all the sophistication of this handwork that can make a really great finishing to the wood. But I think that nowadays we grow it a lot and we spread. We can see design all over in Brazil. And for the last years, also the industry recognized the importance of working with the designers. So we can see much more this partnership with the designers and the industry and then to put their own products in the market. So this is something from maybe the last 20 years. It's quite new comparing to other countries now.
Right. No, that's a great segue, actually, because I wanted to get back to the purpose of Projeto Raiz, which is getting Brazilian design into other countries and working with buyers and sellers in all of those different places, and getting more furniture from Brazil to be better known around the world. And so maybe this is a good time to talk about that. I have, for all of you, and I think maybe starting with Camila, just since you're already talking with us, what have your experiences been so far reaching out internationally? You mentioned earlier, the Salone del Mobile and the ICFF, and I think Stockholm and places like that. Are you finding that you are able to make connections in other parts of the world for your work?
Yes, I think so. Actually, for Plataforma 4, what we have been done, we always go abroad with a partnership with an industry. So it's an industry that is already prepared to sell abroad, companies that are in the market for the last, 50 years or more. So we choose the companies that we really know that they have the potential to be abroad. But the Raiz project is really important to help us in the beginning of this process, to get us be known there, to go to these exhibitions, either in Europe, where it was more some exhibitions related to the imagery, to show our product abroad. And then we made this project that around many different cities in Europe, so Rome, Stockholm, and we were in Berlin and Barcelona, so very different spots. What was really, really nice for us. But at the same time, we are also working with Raiz in this more commercial oriented projects related to ICFS and mainly in US and UK. So, and for us, now that we are in this process for the last 4 or 5 years, we really can see the result of all this work. So for us, it's really meaningful that.
No, that's great. Well, I think, Flavio, you mentioned earlier that Studio Bola obviously has some furniture that is already available in the United States, at least through Crate and Barrel's CB2, and that you're planning to open a studio in Treviso next year. Sergio, I know you have a showroom open in the Hamptons, as you mentioned earlier. Gustavo, you're working in Milan with Italian producers and other designers there, like Capellini. And obviously your work, as you mentioned, has been featured several times in wallpaper. So it seems like you all are doing a great job getting yourselves out into the world. What are the best ways for international people who are interested in your work, or for international buyers, to get to Brazilian designers and be able to buy their work? Is there a mechanism for you to ship internationally, or for people to order from you online or something like that? Anybody feel free to jump in on this one.
Okay, could I?
You bet.
Okay, it's not easy to be an international company. You have to choose which way you want to go. And actually we are doing two, me and my partner, Studio Bola, we are doing 2 ways, 2 fronts. The first one, we are providing drawings to other companies like Crate and Barrels, and it's really a pleasure to see our products spread in all of the United States and Canada. They are more than 20, I think more than 20 stores, something like that, okay? And it's very, very good to see this design when it's, all of them is spread. And the second one, it is the most difficult. We are opening a showroom in Treviso. It's a small city, how I said, but it's very, very typical, and it's near from Venice. We're really pleasure place to live, and of course we are not doing this store to sell to local sales. It's to sell to all of the world, but to have a pleasure place to show our products. And this is why we choose it here. And very important to us, I think, is to participate to global fairs, especially when we have a showroom to demonstrate after that, because we go to the trade fairs, and after that the people have to go to your showroom to see other things. And it's absolutely necessary, I think. This is it's the hardest part, to have a warehouse. It's so difficult if you have to export to Brazil, product by product, and it's make a lot of easier to have a warehouse in local warehouse. And this is what we are doing right now. It's not just to have a showroom, but to have a warehouse as well, to spread and to sell and to deliver our products. And another thing that I think that's very important and is to have local suppliers to help you in when you have difficulties, and some of products are it's much better if you do in local place, and this is so difficult to make this relationship with local. But another way is it's very pleasure to have this exchange of experiences. It's a long time, but it's a very good experience.
That's great. Well, Sergio, I know that the process for you must be a little bit different, because you mentioned that so much of your work is based in couture, and you are working with local indigenous producers in many cases. Is like, how do you go about making that work available to a larger public in the rest of the world?
I think when we have an order for another country or a show for another culture, we stood a little bit of the culture, the culture, what the people use at home. No, we change a little bit, like colors, material. For example, for countries has is more cold. For example, we change the rope. It's not plastic rope. We can sell more warm material like cotton. No, we use
Right.
that for, yes, we sell more. For example, Italy, I can use more conceptual products, more colorful. But for USA, we change the colors for more neutral colors like gray, white, black. That's I change a little bit. But for us, I think as work the online websites too. Like in USA, we have a first dibs for sell my products, and we meet in that's company in ICFF the last year. Is a great partner for us to know.
Great. No, that's great. And I think the idea of customizing your projects for the individual countries that it's going to is probably a really good strategy. I think I haven't seen any questions from the audience, and we are about to come to the end of our hour. So I will emphasize that obviously making these connections between Brazilian designers in the world is an important part of what the project is about. And so anyone who is watching or listening to this, you can get plenty more information by email if you would like. And that would be info@raizproject.com. So info@raizproject.com. I would like to take the time, I hate to bring this to a close because it could keep going on for a long time, but I wanted to especially thank our four panelists today, Camila Fix, Sergio Matos, Flavio Borsato, Gustavo Martini, for taking the time to join us from so many different places around the world. Thanks to the organizers and sponsors. And a special thanks to those of you who have taken the time to spend with us this afternoon. And just to reiterate, this catalog that we're launching today is easily available. There's lots of interesting information. You've been seeing a few of the pages flash on the screen during this presentation, but I do suggest that if you want, you can go and get a free PDF download or even just look at it on the Raiz Project website. So unless there's something I have missed, I would just say thank you to everyone again. And it has been a great pleasure. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day to everyone.
Thank you, Kyle. It was a pleasure to be with you today.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, guys.
So thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay,
you.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you, bye.
Bye. Oi. Bom, foi. Na verdade, começaram a dar uma bagunçada, mas acho que ficou dentro do prazo, deve ter que cortar. Que bom, melhor. Bom, foi. Tava bom, obviamente não estava, mas dava para entender, ao menos? Tá bom. Ok. Então tá, muito obrigado por ter me ajudado. Para mim não era simples. Volto a falar, eu nunca tinha visto uma live, e é verdade, isso não é lazer, não. Eu nunca tinha visto uma live. Então participar de uma live ficou ainda mais complicado, não sabendo qual que é a dinâmica da história. Tá, é melhor quanto mais alguém que tenha mais qualidade no inglês é melhor. Se for italiano, eu toco. Se for português, nenhum problema também. Mas em inglês, para mim, é really hard to do that. Não, né? Eu não exagerei para não. Foi 2 dedinhos só para não esquecer o que eu estava fazendo, mas beleza. Anyway, deu tudo certo, na verdade, tá? Mas ok, mas obrigado, viu, por ter me ajudado aí, pelo menos a ficar mais confiante. Eu vou... Então, e na verdade você foi de suma importância, porque a pergunta que você acabou me ajudando a fazer, porque eu estava com pouco tempo, foi a que teve mais tempo, né? As que eu tinha respondido, eu não falei uma delas só, né? Eita, eu tô falando ainda, eu tô logado ainda. Eita, meu Deus. Roberto, obrigado por ter me ajudado a falar isso, viu? Eu tô saindo agora. Vergonha. Eu estou logado. Como que faz aqui?